As young Canadians face one of the toughest job markets in more than a decade, the federal government is laying out a plan to help turn things around. The plan focuses on creating more work placements and summer jobs for students, along with investments in skills training programs. Ottawa says the goal is to make it easier for young people to find steady work, particularly in the trades and emerging climate-related industries.
Our generational investment will focus on four key priorities. Housing, to restore affordability and opportunity. Infrastructure, to connect Canadians and accelerate growth. Defense and security, to protect our sovereignty and our communities. Productivity and competitiveness, to lead and make Canada an innovation powerhouse, the innovation powerhouse of the 21st century. I think this is something that speaks to everyone, every young people in the country, every family around the country, everyone listening today. Canada faces a steep housing supply gap that has threatened affordability. And our minister has been doing great work to make sure we have more supply and continue to do so. We need to make sure that, Canadians across the nation can find a home. And because when they find a home, this is the best way to build their lives. And therefore, we want to be there for them. Budget 2025 is, Mr. Speaker, the most ambitious housing plan since the Second World War. And we will improve affordability and create careers in the skilled trades. Because as we build this country, Mr. Speaker, young people will see that the dream they have of home ownership will become within reach again. That's what we want to do for future generation. Because you know what? Every home built is a step toward a more affordable and a more confident Canada.
Young people tend to be the first and hardest hit when economic conditions are weak. In the years since the pandemic, inflation has surged, elevating the cost of living. Population growth has also ballooned, especially among the student age group, outpacing the number of available jobs in recent years. I'm now joined in studio by host of My Generation, Sam Miele, to break down the new federal budget and if it's beneficial for the younger generation. Samuel, thank you so much for the time today.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Now, I want to start with what the general reaction from the younger generation has been to the budget.
In speaking to some friends of mine about this, being 22 years old myself as of 2 weeks ago, I am trying to understand exactly what to look at. I think a lot of the times our generation doesn't exactly know what to look at. The first thing that we hear is, it's double the deficit as of last year. I don't know how we got there so quickly. I think there's a lot of factors that we can get into with regards to that, but general reaction is really, why are we spending, or at least why is the deficit double the amount as of last year? And we can't really answer that question. We get into it a little bit more, we can, but my generation just wants to see things get more affordable, and I don't know if they found that answer in this budget.
Well, let's talk about things getting more affordable, because one of the big issues is housing. Is the budget doing enough to tackle the housing crisis, in your opinion?
Well, so I covered a housing debate on my show about, I want to say almost a year ago now. We talked about the Housing Accelerator Fund. That was actually a fund that I didn't necessarily disagree with. I know the provinces had their opinions. The government was going direct to municipalities, giving them funding, allowing them to apply for really competitive grants to be able to build homes. I thought that was a wonderful thing. From what I understand in the budget, I think they're just going to do more of that. I believe it's $13 billion this year, $25 billion over 5 years in general. I don't have a problem with that. To be quite frank, though, I don't think the problem with housing lies in federal problems. I think it's municipal challenges, municipal problems. And quite frankly, if we thought money was going to solve every problem, then, we would just throw money at everything. It seems like the government thinks that, but being a part of interworkings of a development now with my family, as well as working with a lot of real estate agents, I understand municipalities are the larger problem in this housing crisis that we have versus the federal government.
So stepping away from the budget, what do you think would fix the housing crisis?
Well, a lot of the red tape that we talk about, I spoke to some developers before this, and the landlord-tenant board, even provincially, is a really big challenge. I understand it's getting better, but that's one avenue. And then also, the biggest thing here is, just cost. Our family's developing something, and one of the things that you're slapped with was a $100,000 cost that wasn't accounted for. And it's just like that, out of the air. And it's something that, it's, just make this slightly bigger, or that. Nitpicking like that, I don't know necessarily encourages people to go through the process. If we could encourage, more regular everyday people to want to develop and build more homes, build a home or invest into a home, then maybe we wouldn't have this challenge. I'm not sure.
Now, you've touched on the fact that you don't think the federal government is to blame fully for the housing crisis, but do you think in the budget anything else for housing should have been included to maybe make the crisis a little bit better?
Well, what I will say is I would love to see the federal government, quite frankly, instead of saying, hey, we're going to throw 13 billion at the problem, how about Prime Minister Mark Carney makes an effort to go and visit every single municipality, call them out on any BS that's happening there, because quite frankly, there's a lot of municipalities generally in Canada, at least I know here, that are, going through some processes that seem really bureaucratic. The Prime Minister could come in, slap it around a little bit, make an announcement and say he's not proud of what they're doing and demand change right away. I mean, he's the Prime Minister. He has the power to be able to do that. Some would argue not, but if you respect them, you'll listen to them. I don't necessarily think just throwing money at this, building homes is the answer. The Conservatives had the idea of selling off some Crown land. That wasn't a bad idea. I wasn't even opposed to leasing Crown land, but just throwing money randomly at the problem, I'm not sure exactly where it goes, but I think that there's a lot that can be done with the Prime Minister demanding certain things instead of just handing checks out.
Now, let's talk about the younger generation being able to find jobs. Do you think in the budget, the government has made jobs more accessible for the younger generation?
Well, I'll say this. I hate the idea that my generation thinks there's a problem with jobs. I think you can go and if you're a hard worker, you can very well get a job. And I know that some people could debate me on that. But if you're a hard worker, you're impressed in an interview, people will want to hire you just for the sake of hiring you. In saying that, I understand that the government's also looking at bringing in foreign workers, attracting foreign talent. I know that we need that. There is a talent shortage. So I think a balance between the two is more than fine. I think it's very enabling to say that my generation has a problem finding jobs, when in reality, if you really try hard enough, you will find a job. Just be a harder worker, be a better communicator. If you're having challenges with that, work on those skill sets, and I don't think you'll have a problem getting hired.
Well, Samuel, thank you so much for sharing your perspective on the budget.
Thank you so much.